Hey! So I want to show you how to make this super cute knitted shrug, and I'm more a crocheter than a knitter, so this is like a knitting project for crocheters, if you can say that. So yeah. Okay, so we're gonna need our wool, then we need our knitting needles. I have a number 8. We need a crochet hook, that is a number 4. We need scissors, we need stitch markers and a needle, and that is all that we need. To start, we make a slip knot like this. We put it on one needle, the yarn. Don't pull too tight. Now what I like to do to cast on, I have my needle like this and I take my yarn and I just go under. I take my yarn and I go under. Take my yarn and I go under. And like this I will cast on 40 stitches. If you cast on in a different way, that also works. It doesn't matter. It's just important that you get your stitch count so that it will fit you. Okay, so we have 40 stitches on. Now we start. We have our yarn in the front. If they roll a little bit around on the needle, that doesn't matter. We go into our first stitch from the front like this. We take our yarn, only one. That can be a little bit tricky with the first one. And we take over our yarn on the next needle, so now it will be a bit easier. If you feel like it's hard to get into the loops on the needle, then that could mean that you put on your yarn a little bit too tight while casting on. So, but that's not that bad. We can work that out. So now we have to have our yarn in the front, and we just go into every stitch and we take our yarn with us like this. We go inside the stitch like this. Oh my god. Like this. We take our yarn and then we put it on the next needle. The next row will be a lot easier. So we work like this for the whole row. So that row was a little bit tough, but now we are making the next one, and that is a lot easier. So I will show you how to do it. We go into our first stitch here. Then we take our yarn with us. We go from the back this time. Then we go into the stitch, we take the yarn with us, and we just take it with us. We go into the stitch, take the yarn, and just pull it over to the next needle. So we just continue like this for the whole row. Just like this. So row 2 is done now, and it looks a little bit uneven right now, but that will even itself out the further we go. So now we have another row where we work in the front. So we go into our stitch from the front and take our yarn, and we take with us our yarn onto the next needle. And we just stay in the front for this whole row. So we take with us our yarn like this. I can show you one more time. So we get into the stitch, take with us our yarn and put it on the next needle. Get into the stitch, take with us our yarn. And like that we make the whole row. So here we already see how the knitting pattern is forming. And we just keep on repeating, doing our stitches in the front and in the back. So we did one row in the front, so now we make one in the back, like this. We go from the back, we go into our stitch, take with us our yarn, and put it on the next needle. And like that we continue, and we will do, you have to do that until it covers your completely your shoulder and your arm. So I made 104 rows for the first one that I already made, and I would recommend that you put a stitch marker after every 20 rows. Around that I will check in a little bit later, and then I can show you what I mean and how I do that. Okay, so here I have already made the first 40 rows, so it rolls up a little bit, that's normal. And I just put a stitch marker here on the side, and after 20 I put another one. And now I also put one on the other side, because that will be where we join the fabric so that it will be a sleeve. But I will show you when it's time for that. I just show you how I already marked it. It's there and there. Okay, so here are my 104 rows. This is how it looks, and now it's time to cast off. So the first thing to do is take over the yarn to the next needle for the first 2 stitches, and then we go back into the first stitch. That can be a little hard when you're used to crochet. I feel like so, like this. So now you only have one, then you take the next one, take it over, go into this stitch from before and take it over. Then you do the whole row like this. And if that feels hard, which I get because I'm not used to working with so many loops, you can just do that with your hand, pulling that one over. That works just as well. I feel like that works a little bit faster for me, but do that in a way that works best for you. So now there is the last 2 ones. So we are taking this one over like this, and now it's time to cut the yarn. And I like to do like a single crochet. Wait, like this. It's a little bit harder with a knitting needle, but it still works. Or like a chain. And then you just pull. So now this part is done. Looks very neat. Okay, so now we are back in my element. How it feels. We are turning the sleeve that we have inside out, and we will need our crochet hook now from now on, because I want to close or I'm gonna close this whole seam with single crochets, and then I'm going to single crochet all the way here, everywhere here where it's rolling up a bit, and then the way back, and then we will continue. I will show you what I mean. Okay, so to start, what I like to do is just attaching the yarn to the old yarn strand like this, and then you just pull, you cut away the extra parts of the yarn like this. So now we have our yarn, because then we don't need to attach we don't need to attach more yarn. So now I just need to turn this around, and I will go into the first stitch of both sides. I'm bringing my yarn in like this, and we're going through both, and now we are just making single crochets, and we are making them until we have our stitch marker here that we put in both sides after 40 rows. So I'm just showing you what I'm doing. I'm going inside both sides, and I make a single crochet. Then I'm going into the next stitch here and here, and make a single crochet. And just like this, we are making the whole row. So now I have made all my single crochets until my stitch marker, so I remove that, and now I chain one, and I chained one, and now I just do the same thing but just on one side. So I am making single crochets the whole way. Sometimes it can be a little hard to find the right stitch, but even if you skip one stitch, that doesn't really matter that much. So I'm making single crochets all the way until I reach the end again. Okay, so for the next step, I measured a small overlap. This is on the back, and this is on the front. It's maybe a little bit hard to understand. I tried on both sleeves and then just looked how big the overlap should be. So this is what I found, or what I think looks best. So now we just sew everything together, or we can single crochet everything together. So that's what the next step. Okay, so I made a slip knot. Now I am just going inside both stitches, and I am attaching my yarn. So I'm taking with me both strands, so I don't have to weave in anything. And now we are just continuing with our single crochets, just like this. It's not a very long way that we have to crochet. It's just important that they will hold together. And this type of yarn here is very forgiving. If you make a mistake or something, then that will not be very visible. But if you, for example, use cotton, that can be different. So I'm taking out this stitch marker now because it's hard to work with it when it's there. So now I've worked the whole way around here. So now I chain 1 and I cut my yarn. So, and I think I want to sew this part here and here so that it will hold up very well, but maybe we would do that later. I think we will wait with that because we also want to make a collar. So now we're taking the back part. Here it is. It's a lot smaller, but we are just doing the same thing here. So I'm just going inside the stitches. I am attaching my yarn, and there we go. I am also taking out my stitch marker. So now we are just single crocheting everything together. The most important thing is that it's staying together when you have it on. So just like this. So now this part is also done. I took my stitch markers now and I put them where the top part where your head comes out should be closed. And now I'm just single crocheting around the whole thing. Okay, so I am working on the last part now. I made a slip knot and I am taking the piece where I sewed the arm together, so the head comes out here, and I am taking this part and I am attaching my yarn here, and I have decided that I want to make that I am chaining 2. I have decided that I want to make double crochets all the way around. So thank you for watching. I hope you like this one. I'm really curious if somebody wants to make their own shrug. So let me know, and yeah, bye.